right, next up we have Gene Gotimer. Get this file loaded. All right, when it goes full screen, your timer starts.
Hi. Creative solutions to already solve problems is our team's term for all the ridiculous code that we find on our project. Unfortunately, all these examples are real, only the names have been changed, and we had no shortage of examples to choose from. Fortunately, most of these examples are easily found or easily fixed. Those red flags in your IDE are there for a reason. Static analysis will point a lot of these out. And you don't have to do these things alone. You can ask for help. You can have someone show you how to use the tools and the code. So sometimes you just want to make sure the compiler gets the point. Yeah, you could import date just once, but an extra import's not going to hurt. And I know you don't need to import Java lang classes at all, but sometimes you just want to be sure. All right? And if you don't trust the compiler to get the imports right, you're certainly not going to trust that a list of string contains only strings. So better to convert the strings to strings explicitly using toString. It's not just the compiler you can't trust. Version control is not infallible, so best to check in old versions of code that you might want to get back, and sometimes apparently new versions. I'm not really sure how that's supposed to work. Some developers read the Gang of Four book on design patterns and decide it's the solution to all their problems. Other developers just decide to add the pattern names to their class names and do no additional coding whatsoever. Some languages give you constructs to make your code more concise. This gem sets a variable to a function value if true is equal to true. Otherwise, it sets it to false, and apparently ushers in chaos. But sometimes you want to be more explicit rather than concise. So with complex things like Booleans, sometimes you spell it all out, and you want to be really clear, including being clear that hash code returned what was not returned, apparently. But fail messages and insert messages can be tough. You only get one shot to be really clear what it's supposed to do and give the message. Double negatives aren't not confusing, are they, for fail messages? Defensive coding is the way to go. Always do null checks and edge conditions like blank strings, even when you're not dealing with strings. But all of that's going to lead to a lot of code. So this particular class had a few methods that just snuck over the 150-line limit, like 1,300, 1,400. But if you can't be the longest method, maybe you can stand out in some other way. Like this particular method's only 1,334 lines long, well short of the record, but it is 20% more complex than its nearest competitor. And that can lead to some long classes. This class has no business logic and 638 fields. So it just get over the 1,000-line limit by 42,735 lines. If you're going to have long classes like that, you do need to figure out some way to test it and think outside the box. This test method uses reflection to invoke every getter and setter in the entire package and does no testing whatsoever, just to increase code coverage. Exceptional conditions have to be handled, right? You can't just do nothing. You have to at least look at the error message that it passes. Maybe not assign it, not pass it on, not do anything with it, but at least look at it. Maybe you want to do a little bit more with it, right? Like catch it, rethrow it as is, immediately catch it again, and then print out the stack trace. Right? But sometimes exceptions aren't as exceptional as we'd like. This particular test was throwing a null pointer exception every time it was run. Every time. So I guess we just have to expect it, right? Constants can help you with magic values that help the other developers know what you're trying to do. Like, what was the dash represent, or what action was the value of 12 managing? But you have to make sure to give them clear names. Not like those complicated ones that the language gives them, right? And don't be shy about adding comments to help explain the position so that everyone knows what they're there for. Finally, having all your constants in one spot can be really helpful if you ever need to globally change a value. In this case, if we ever need to change what the value of Boolean true is, we can do it in one spot. It changes throughout the code, which could explain that ternary operation earlier. Thank you.
All right, give it up for Gene. Good job, man.
Thank you.